Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today we're taking a deep look into a really thought-provoking sermon. It's from the Korean evangelist Reverend Myung, titled 11 Way of Life.
And that 11 in the title, it's not like 11 steps, right? It's more holistic.
Exactly, yeah. It signifies a kind of comprehensive, unified path or framework that Moon presents for living.
Okay.
And this isn't just any sermon. It's a really profound exploration into something we all, constantly seek: happiness.
The big one.
The big one.
Oh.
So we're going to unpack its unique perspective on, human desire, societal struggles, and what it ultimately suggests is the true source of lasting contentment.
And it really does challenge a lot of our common assumptions about what makes us happy, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, what stands out immediately, I think, is how it starts with such a universal human experience, this innate quest for fulfillment.
Right.
And then it guides us on this journey, really questioning the very foundations of how we usually define success and happiness in the world.
So our mission here in this deep dive.
Yeah, our mission is basically to pull out the core insights and sort of connect the dots for you, the listener.
Helping us all understand this distinct and sometimes, like you said, counterintuitive viewpoint Moon presents.
Definitely.
So the sermon kicks off by painting this really relatable picture of life's trajectory, from childhood through adulthood. Talks about being born and raised in the love of your parents, then going through school, education.
Standard path.
And then broadening your view to what the society is like.
Right.
And it describes those incredibly natural desires we all feel. Wanting your nation to do well, seeking personal success,
Finding a partner.
finding a sweetheart, getting married, building a home, raising kids.
The whole package.
The whole package, yeah. And having a job where success means to be able to make more money for the happiness of their family. It's a life script that feels very familiar.
It really does. But this immediately brings up a critical question that Moon seems to be asking.
Which is,
Well, if this journey is so common and these desires are so universal, why does the sermon almost immediately pivot to talking about unhappiness? A pervasive sense of it.
that's a good point.
Yeah, he highlights that while everyone wants happiness, actually, there are more people who are unhappy. And we hear about misery from all sorts of things. Childlessness, broken families, losing your job, companies going bankrupt, even, national defeat.
He doesn't pull any punches.
Not at all. And Moon's text even looks at the United States, saying where people are seemingly happy and have an abundance of everything, but he notes that in their hearts there usually is unhappiness too.
Wow.
And what's particularly insightful, I think, is the claim that when one experiences misery after having had happiness, one feels even more miserable.
Oh, that hits hard.
Yeah, he's suggesting there's this, absolutely. He suggests that our desires, our ambitions, our aspirations, they basically have no limit.
We always want more.
We constantly want more, better, different, yet our actual capacities, our knowledge, your position, your authority, and many other things, they're profoundly limited.
Finite.
Finite, exactly. And this fundamental disconnect, this gap between infinite desire and finite capacity, that's what creates an agony.
An agony.
Yeah, an agony he describes as universal. It affects the commoner and the prince alike.
So it's not just complaining about, not getting what we want.
No, I don't think so. It seems like Moon is actually using this unending desire as a kind of signal, a profound one.
A signal. How so?
Well, he's kind of arguing that this constant wanting, which nothing in the world seems to fully satisfy, it isn't just a flaw in us or bad luck.
Okay.
It's actually evidence, in his view, that we are inherently wired for something more, something beyond the finite, something inexhaustible.
Well, I see.
That's the core insight there, I think. Our persistent unhappiness isn't just like a mood. For Moon, it's a kind of divine compass.
Pointing us somewhere else.
Yeah, constantly directing us toward an ultimate, limitless source that worldly stuff, worldly achievements can never fully replicate.
Okay, so given this, this pervasive unhappiness and this internal agony he describes, the sermon then looks at how humanity has tried to fix this, right? Find solution.
Exactly. It explains that people have long sought answers in two main areas. First, philosophy.
Which he describes as searching outwardly.
Right, looking for understanding through reason, logic, analyzing the world.
And the second,
And second, religion, which involves looking inwardly or spiritually.
seeking transcendence, meaning connection to something higher.
Precisely. And Moon acknowledges that these searches, philosophy and religion, they've matured over centuries. They've developed rich traditions, cultural frameworks, all trying to address these fundamental human questions.
But then he takes a sharp turn, doesn't he? He gets pretty critical about modern ideas.
He really does, particularly the big ideologies of the 20th century. He talks about the struggle between the political philosophy of democracy and communism.
The Cold War context, presumably?
Seems like it. He notes that both have been struggling for a long time and are now, in his words, tired.
Tired?
Yeah, talking about détente, peaceful coexistence. He says both promised their people real freedom and peace. Grand promises.
But he thinks they failed.
The sermon strongly implies a profound failure, a failure to deliver on those big utopian promises. He even suggests that if these systems don't ultimately fulfill those promises, then some new ideology will arise that will deny all the isms and ideologies that have existed.
That's a bold prediction.
Very bold. It suggests a fundamental flaw, maybe, in purely human-centered systems, that they just can't meet that limitless desire we talked about.
That's a powerful indictment, and quite pessimistic, really, about society's foundations. So from Moon's perspective, this ruin of our view of value and the societal breakdown he describes, is that just a symptom? Or is it fundamentally tied to the failure of those older philosophies and religions too?
Moon definitely seems to view it as a direct consequence, a culmination of those inherent limitations.
Okay.
He's basically arguing that without a transcendent, inexhaustible source for happiness and for guiding principles, all these human-made systems, like the democracy, communism, maybe even older ways, no matter how well-intentioned, they're inherently limited.
And destined to fail.
And they'll eventually collapse, under the weight of that boundless human desire. He drives this point home by describing a group he calls hippies.
Ah, the hippies. That gives us a time frame, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Late 60s, early 70s?
Seems likely, yeah. And he presents them as this stark symptom of society unraveling.
How so?
He describes them as people who don't want to work, wear ragged clothing, and they protest against their parents, asking, what do you have that is better than what we have?
Wow, confrontational.
Very. And Moon claims, through this lens, the society is corrupted and you are still advocating the tradition and culture you have built, but it is rotten and decayed.
So the counterculture is a sign of the mainstream's failure.
Exactly. It reflects a broader sense in his view that our standards of what the family, nation, and community should be are all broken down. He portrays this ruin of our view of value where everything of virtue has been leveled.
And even traditional religion hasn't helped.
Apparently not enough. He suggests even religion has failed to provide sufficient answers for many.
So Moon paints this really grim picture. Democracy, communism, worn out, traditional religion, failing people.
Yeah.
Society breaking down, symbolized by, well, the hippies.
Yeah, it's quite bleak.
If everything we've tried seems to have failed to deliver true happiness or a stable society, where does that leave us? It really makes you ask, if all the established answers are broken, what hope is there? Is there any hope for genuine contentment?
It sets up a real crisis point in the sermon.
Okay, so with that bleak outlook on humanity's own solutions, Moon then tries to radically redefine happiness, doesn't he? Happiness in the true sense.
Yes, moving completely beyond those worldly pursuits we talked about earlier.
And he starts by saying something that sounds, well, conventional at first. He says happiness is found in the position where we have things which other people do not possess.
Right, that sounds like standard keeping up with the Joneses stuff.
Exactly. But then he immediately clarifies it, and he totally flips our usual understanding of possessing things.
How?
He says, you are truly happy when you can give to other people, when you can share your position, wealth, knowledge, and whatever you have that is virtuous with other people.
So possession isn't the point. Giving is.
Precisely. And his ultimate conclusion on this, if you can share love with each other, that makes you feel happiest of all.
So it's not about what you get for yourself, but what you distribute. Love, knowledge, wealth.
Exactly. It's a complete reversal.
And this is a really crucial pivot in his whole philosophy, isn't it?
Seems like the core of it.
He argues that those worldly ambitions, marrying that specific person, getting rich, they're ultimately unfulfilling. Why? Because they're finite.
Right. You achieve it and then...
And then, as he notes, they want to have something more. There's always something else. He explicitly states that what we already have is not the ultimate happiness.
Because it runs out or fades.
Exactly. And that real happiness is something that we can never exhaust, something we can enjoy forever. This is key.
Inexhaustible happiness.
Yes. So if human beings and worldly achievements can't provide that kind of never-ending happiness, then his question becomes, what is the source of such happiness?
He's setting the stage for something beyond the human, beyond the material.
Absolutely, suggesting that the very nature of true lasting happiness demands a source that isn't limited like we are.
Okay, so to answer that huge question, Moon posits this really radical idea. He says, if there were no God, we would have to create one.
Whoa, that's a strong statement.
Isn't it? He suggests that we need God transcendent of human life, or life has no meaning.
So he's not just endorsing a conventional idea of God here.
It feels deeper than that. He seems to be arguing that our inherent boundless desire, that agony we talked about, is itself proof.
Proof of God.
Proof of the necessity of an equally boundless divine reality to meet that desire.
Okay, I think I follow. The scale of our wanting implies a scale of source.
Exactly. And it's the discovery that God really does exist, he claims, that brings this immense, inexhaustible happiness. The kind that lets you turn the whole world upside down.
And this is presented as the only way.
It seems so. The only way to find that ultimate happiness, that worldly stuff, can never fully satisfy because it connects us to the limitless source.
So if God is this ultimate, inexhaustible source, then what does life look like? Moon describes a life lived according to God's will, right?
Yes, and it's not vague spirituality. His text paints a very purposeful picture, almost architectural.
How so?
Like every aspect of life, eating, sleeping, working, even marriage, gets recalibrated. It's all done for the great task which he would have us do.
So mundane things get a higher purpose.
Exactly. They're not just personal choices anymore, but actions infused with meaning, contributing to some grand design.
And marriage.
Marriage gets transformed, too. It's not just for individual happiness, but to bring the family, society, and nation into accordance with God's will.
Wow.
And through that unity, the goal is to come closer to God. It basically reorients the purpose of everything we do.
So it's not passive belief. It's active participation in this God's will.
Very active. And the sermon draws this sharp contrast, doesn't it, between the struggle of external ideologies, like democracy and communism.
Which he called worn out.
Right, worn out. He contrasts that with this world of higher dimension where things are different,
Yeah.
where the more we struggle, the more valuable the achievement.
Interesting. Struggle becomes valuable.
Apparently so in this context. Moon claims that those who know God are strong and happy people because they fundamentally know only too well that God is love.
And this changes how they see things, like possessions.
Completely. It leads to this unique perspective on wealth and possessions. He says, we know how to return all things to God, and we can enjoy things as having been given by God our Father.
Ah, so it's not really mine, it's God's given to me to use.
That's the idea. A shift from ownership to stewardship. And this, he argues, makes people the happiest because they possess something intangible, things of greater value, a spiritual connection that transcends material limits.
Okay, and this understanding of divine ownership, you mentioned giving before. Does this fuel that?
Massively. The sermon emphasizes it fosters this boundless generosity way beyond normal charity.
How boundless.
Moon says, we must not be narrow-minded. We will not draw small circles around ourselves.
Open up.
Big time. He calls for giving not only to our family members, but to friends and neighbors and the society around us. And get this, even our whole being to the last man alive, stretching ourselves until we can reach the other end of the world.
Wow, that's total commitment.
Total. And with that perspective, he says, there's no barrier whatsoever. There are no enemies whatsoever.
Because everything comes from the same source.
Exactly. The sermon states it plainly. Everything belongs to God. Only God owns everything.
So the process is, give it back to God first.
Yes. Return everything first to God, and then be given what we need by him, and then share that divine love and resource with others.
It's a complete paradigm shift from getting to circulating.
Circulating through God,
Yeah.
From self-centered getting to divinely inspired, limitless giving.
What's truly compelling there, I think, is the idea Moon puts forward that in love, your trials and your struggles are not painful.
That sounds almost paradoxical. How does he explain that?
He uses this really beautiful analogy. Think of a girl who wants to marry a handsome, righteous man. She might sit up all night embroidering something for her future husband.
Okay.
And she feels never fatigued. Why? Because she's doing it out of love.
Ah, so the love transforms the effort.
Precisely. It reframes the hardship. It's not a burden. It's an act of love, and that changes its very nature.
And he applies this to working for God.
Directly. The more you labor for the person you love, the more love you will receive from him. It's a redefinition of suffering itself, seeing it not as pointless pain, but as a path to deeper connection, deeper love, and ultimately greater happiness.
That's a profound reframing.
It is. And this whole transformative worldview, it comes with a very clear, very active mission.
Which is?
To wake them up and persuade them also to work for the great cause, to bring others into this understanding.
But he acknowledges that won't be easy, right?
Oh yeah, he's realistic. The sermon admits people may be reluctant to receive your message, and they may even send you away.
Expect resistance.
Expect resistance initially. However, Moon predicts that later, when they are really awakened to the fact that they can be brought into the life of vast dimension, they will be very grateful to you.
So, short-term rejection, long-term gratitude.
That's the idea. It highlights the long-term impact and the profound gratitude he believes will eventually come, even if it starts rough.
Okay, this deep dive really reveals a truly distinctive take on giving and receiving.
Yeah.
Moon states, only by giving can we receive. It sounds simple, but the mechanism is unique.
How so?
He encourages us to give out our whole being, everything, our family, our clan, our nation, and our whole world to God.
Give it all up, conceptually?
Yes. And in return, he will fill our hearts with such love that can embrace the whole world and the whole cosmos.
Wow. So the return isn't from the people you give to.
No, and this is crucial. He advises, never expect to receive anything directly in return from them. Don't look for a thank you or for them to give back to you.
So where does the receiving part come in?
But let them return what they have received to God.
Ah, they give back to God too.
Exactly. And by doing this whole process, you giving to them giving back to God, God will then return something to you.
And what does God return?
His love, which is greater than anything else in the world.
So it's this radical, indirect reciprocity, mediated entirely by God.
Yeah, emphasizing the purity of the giving, maybe? Removing the expectation of direct return?
That's fascinating. And finally, the sermon offers a really distinct view on courage, even martyrdom.
How does that fit in?
Well, when you're living in God's love and pursuing this mission, Moon states, we have nothing to be afraid of.
Fearless.
Seems like it. He suggests that if you are sacrificed in carrying out your mission because of your love for God, you will be a martyr.
Okay, martyrdom isn't new in religion.
True, but here's the twist. This isn't the traditional idea of suffering now for a reward after death in some spiritual kingdom.
No.
No. Moon presents a mission to build the kingdom of God on this planet while we are still alive.
Ah, kingdom of heaven on earth now.
Exactly. It's a call to immediate earthly action, driven by this unwavering love and purpose, aiming to transform the world now, not just secure a spot in the afterlife.
So, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? This sermon lays out a really comprehensive and definitely challenging framework for living. It promises that through this connection to God's love, through this radical reorientation of purpose towards giving, we can achieve an everlasting happiness.
A happiness that transcends all those worldly disappointments and limits we talked about at the start.
Yeah, it's a complete reevaluation of what makes life worthwhile, not just for ourselves, but for this greater divine purpose he outlines.
We've journeyed through quite a lot in Reverend Moon's sermon, 11 Way of Life, explored his unique vision of, well, life's true purpose and the ultimate source of happiness.
It really is a perspective that pushes back hard against common ideas of success, how society should work, even traditional religious motivations sometimes.
Yeah, it urges us to look beyond the immediate, the finite, the things that ultimately leave us wanting more.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, Moon's sermon fundamentally challenges us, doesn't it? It makes us ask what truly satisfies those limitless desires we all have.
Especially when worldly achievements, by their very nature, inevitably fall short.
It really forces the question, are we just chasing temporary contentment from finite sources, things that will always run out?
Or is there, as Moon suggests, an inexhaustible higher dimension of happiness, one that can only be found through that kind of boundless giving and a connection to a divine source?
Yeah. This deep dive definitely makes you think. If our deepest, most boundless desires can only be met by something beyond the material world, what does that imply for how we actually live our lives? How we define our relationships, pursue our goals, right now, today?
It's definitely something to mull over as you continue your own journey, your own way of life.